Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources. Welcome to today's edition of Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network. Whether you are caring for a senior, are a senior, or just plan to be one, we hope you'll enjoy today's program. Helping Seniors TV host and longtime senior advocate Joe Steckler visits with Rob Graham, owner of Care Patrol, as they discuss the services that help match loved ones to the proper living environment, whether it's staying at home longer or finding the appropriate assisted living facility. Learn about the no-cost services that Care Patrol provides to assist families.
Good morning. This is Joe Steckler, and welcome to another edition of Helping Seniors. My panelist today, Rob Graham, is the owner of Care Patrol. It's a very unique organization, and I would really encourage you to listen carefully to what we're talking about today, because it shows how something new and something very needed is being done in our community, and most likely other communities, and Rob will talk about that this morning. But I think we offer something today that more families need to know about, because this will assist you in how you acquire in-home and out-of-home care assistance in the future, possibly for one of your loved ones. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay.
Nice job.
Okay, thank you, Rob. But it's important that our viewers understand what Care Patrol is, what you do, and why you're sort of unique in the care business. People know about assisted living facilities. People know about nursing home care. They know about, a lot of them know about respite care. We'll talk about that a little bit too. A lot of them know about daycare. But a lot of people don't know how to get to those elements of care.
Sure. It's trying to navigate the post-acute world for someone. So if someone's in a hospital and they have to discharge out of the hospital to a long-term setting,
right?
Trying to navigate that is very, very difficult for a family to do, especially when they're in crisis mode. So what our service does, which is, by the way, free to the community, we help families locate either in-home care, independent living, assisted living, memory care for their loved ones. And we do this in a rather unique fashion. What we do is we work with the assisted living facilities that have a very consistent, clean track record with the state of Florida with respect to their state inspection results. So to my knowledge, we're the only ones that are monitoring that on a monthly basis. There's a lot of information out there that's free and accessible that the consumer just doesn't understand. So it is an important cornerstone for what we do. It's always safety first with us. We care less about how a facility looks. We care more about the quality of care provided at that facility.
I can appreciate exactly what you said there, because I remember many, many years ago, my mother and father had to put my grandmother in an assisted living facility. And there were two facilities in my little small town, hometown in Kentucky. One had very narrow corridors, and it was old. The other place was new and had big wide passageways where people could walk, and it was gorgeous. Mother and Dad put my grandmother in the older place because those people there knew the family, were caring, loving people, and they did a much better job of taking care of the individual needs of the client. And this is one of the hardest parts to get across to families that are seeking care, that there are good elements of care out there, and there are elements of care they want to stay away from.
Oh, that's exactly right. So your parents actually had it easy in Kentucky. They only had two to choose from. In Brevard County, depending upon the day of the week that you ask, there were 180 facilities plus or minus. And 85% of that total is actually made up by what we call residential assisted living facilities. So they're single-family homes that have been converted to satisfy the state of Florida to be owned and operated as assisted living. They're typically licensed for 5 or 6 individuals. So that's 85% of the total. I guarantee people have driven by one without even realizing they've done it. The other 15% is made up of what we term assisted living communities. So they're larger, they're not single family homes, they're larger bricks and mortar locations such as Market Street. Market Street's a fairly new memory care facility, wonderful, but the Market Streets in Brevard County, they only make up 15% of the total. And then when you talk about the locations of these different facilities, people probably don't realize that in Palm Bay alone, there are over 80 just in Palm Bay. So the point is that if a family's in crisis mode, mom, dad, husband, and wife, whomever the loved one is, it's in a hospital or wherever they are, they can no longer be safe, they're going home, we get a call. We try to navigate that for them, hold their hand through that entire process so we strip away all of the misinformation that's out there. You and I both know there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Oh, yeah.
With the healthcare industry. And we also try to slow the clock down. The healthcare industry is speeding the clock up because this person has to discharge from skilled nursing or a hospital or wherever. So what we try to do is not let the family feel that. So we slow it down as much as we possibly can so that they can make the most informed decision that they possibly can.
That's what I'm glad you mentioned Market Street. Actually, we are filming today's show from the Market Street Memory Care located in Viera, Florida, and we're doing the show in what they call their bakery. This is their bakery here, and they yesterday they had some delightful bagels here. They gave us bagels, and it was quite good. And I'm a fiend for chocolate chip cookies, and they had a big thing with chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed that.
They were quite good. But you make a point. Places like Market Street, places like Hibiscus Court, some of our other facilities, Autumn House, these people are sponsors for this Helping Seniors program because they realize the need to get information out. You're one of our sponsors for this because you realize the need to get information out. If you get information out about how people can access care better and how they can better serve the needs of their loved one, everybody wins.
Oh, that's exactly right.
It's a win situation.
Look, as we were talking off camera, last census showed that Brevard County has a population that's 24.6% 65 or older. So this is a rather large pool of seniors that someday may need assisted living or memory care or some other outside of home environment for a loved one. And the sponsors that you mentioned, Hibiscus Court, Market Street, Autumn House, you named 3 of the very best assisted living facilities in the county. There are others. Right. There are others that, frankly speaking, you wouldn't want your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife there because they just do not do a good job of taking care of individuals. In fact, what we spend most of our time on is 3 things. One, we do our very, very best on a monthly basis to understand the current landscape of assisted living facilities as it relates to how they've done with their state inspection results. So we're tracking that, as I said, on a monthly basis. When we meet a family to talk about their loved one, we want to understand what their care needs are, specific care needs are, and we want to understand what their social capabilities are as well.
The social is very important.
It's critical. In fact, in my opinion, it's more difficult to match someone's social needs with the social capabilities of a specific environment. Matching someone's care needs, that's not a difficult thing. But matching your personality with the personality of an assisted living facility is very difficult to do. And we go to great lengths to understand what that environment's like, talk to management, understand what the staff turnover rate is, things of that nature that all go into creating a specific personality for that building or that facility that we try to match up with the individual.
So what I, based on my own knowledge, what I'm hearing you saying is one of the things that Care Patrol does is the research on the types of care that are available, so that when, say, if Joe Steckler called Rob Graham at Care Patrol and said, my mother is starting to show some signs of forgetfulness, and she's just not really, she doesn't do all the things she used to, and sometimes she appears to be happy, other times she's not. I think we can still take care of her here, but if you got any ideas, what does Care Patrol do when you get a phone call like that from the site? How do you work this thing?
Well, first of all, I want to be clear. If someone can stay in their home safely, then that's what we're going to drive towards. In that specific instance, we'd ask questions such as, who is in the home with this individual? Is there a willing, capable caregiver there? Because if someone has a dementia and they're living alone, as we all know, dementia is a progressive disease. So it doesn't get better. Perhaps it gets slowed by some medication, but it still progresses.
Right.
And as it progresses, a lot of bad things can happen to someone when they're in that home environment alone. So it could be that all we need to do is put together some private duty CNA assistance in the home. And maybe that's only needed for, at the outset, 2 days a week for showers and meals, and maybe do some light housekeeping for 2 4-hour shifts. If it's a little bit more progressive and they have funding for it, then we can certainly arrange for 24/7 in-home care as well. And there are some very, very capable organizations that can do that in a very reliable, professional fashion.
I'm going to ask a difficult question.
Okay.
You know, I have been in this business. I've had people call me and ask that same question I just asked you. And you know that some families can afford to do things, others cannot afford to do things. And too many times, different placement organizations put people in what I call the wrong element of care.
Sure.
They don't consider what's really needed. Do you recommend things like daycare and respite care? And so how about explain to our viewer the range of types of things that Care Patrol can offer somebody through your services, and how you can help people get into progressive elements of care, so that we tend to keep people in the lowest and the most I want to use like a word, useful element of care for that individual. How do you do that?
Well, we really, remember, our mantra is safety first.
Okay.
After that, we really try to focus on examining the least restrictive environment for an individual. So we talked about someone's capabilities to potentially stay at home if they have a willing, capable caregiver who's there. If all they need is some custodial care, perhaps during the week, then a daycare, such as Sarah Care, is an excellent option. They've got great programs. You can run half days, full days, what have you. They're very, very, very flexible. That type of environment can go a long way in plugging holes in an individual's unsafe life. Okay. So let's say, for example, my mom lived with me. She's 83 years old. And let's say that I'm working 5 days a week, 8 to 5, and she's not able to stay at my condo safely alone. Well, there isn't a need for me to go get a private duty in-home care. I could bring my mother to a daycare setting where she can be safe, she'll be fed, she'll have activities, She'll have other people around her that are her age. So it's a good community for her during the day while I'm at work. So that daycare option is a very, very good one. If, for example, well, you've mentioned the word respite a couple times. Respite by definition is a short-term stay. So it's 30 days or less at some type of assisted living or memory care facility. And we typically will utilize respite for one of two reasons. One, if someone is in an environment, let's go back to the hospital, and let's say the kids are out of state and mom can no longer go home because dad has passed away, and she needs 24/7 care until the kids are able to put their lives on hold and get down to Brevard County to try to organize everything with our assistance. And let's say they say, Rob, we need 2 weeks. We can be there in 2 weeks. Not a problem. We can locate a respite stay at assisted living for 2 weeks' time where she's going to get 24/7 care. Again, she'll be fed, she'll have activities, she'll have the socialization aspect. It's like being full-time at assisted living, but you have the benefit of just plugging that 2-week hole until the family gets into town. So that would be one way that we use respite. Second way is there are people that know they need assisted living but don't want to go to assisted living because they think they're going to hate it. Generally, what we have found is that they hear the word or the term assisted living, and in their mind's eye, they see nursing home. In fact, when I started doing this years ago, my mother said, "You're going to do what? You're going to help people find nursing homes?" I said, "No, Mom, assisted living." What's the difference? Well, as you and I, as everyone knows, there's a huge difference. So the other way we use respite is it's a way to try it on for size, it meaning assisted living, to see if the individual likes it, if they feel as though it meets his or her needs. And the vast majority of the time when that happens, they end up staying at that assisted living location full time.
Okay. See, I'm glad you're talking about this, because one of the hard things for families that are facing a care situation for them to understand is that if you can get to the right people to help you, that you can walk this care element up in small steps. You don't do a lot of organizations are people that are in a care business will get a family to say they're here and they want to put them right up here right away. And from this, you got a sliding scale of so many things.
That's because they're chasing a fee.
Yes,
they're chasing a fee. Let me just be frank about that. A bit of an editorial, so forgive. The fact of the matter is there are organizations in this community that simply do things to chase a fee. And they're not going at it with the family first in mind. I'll give you an example. Last time you and I got together, we chatted about Medicaid for a little bit. It is illegal for an entity to take a fee when the Medicaid form of payment is involved. Does that preclude us from helping families whose loved one has Medicaid? Absolutely not.
It doesn't. No.
Absolutely not. But there are others out there that do, that they refuse to assist because there's nothing in it for them, meaning that there's no fee. We, as I said at the outset, we're a free resource to the community. How we make our living is we have, oh my gosh, Joe, I think at this point we have 154 locations in 40 states. So we have agreements with tens of thousands of assisted living, independent living, and memory care facilities throughout the US. So we get paid by them. So it's important that everybody understands that. But we're a national organization with a hometown feel, because we care about what's going on in this particular community. Yes, we have access to helping people if, like for example, I think I was telling you I placed someone, helped a family get mom into a Brookdale community yesterday from Holmes Regional.
Okay.
The daughter is in Pittsburgh, the son is in Atlanta. The husband had passed away a few years ago, and they said, Rob, can you help? So I spent the day, half of the day, at Holmes Regional coordinating everything, getting the daughter, the son on the phone, and acting as that air traffic control, if you will, for helping that woman get placed in a respite stay over at Brookdale. That's how we go about approaching our work. Now, in the end, if the daughter in Pittsburgh wants to bring mom to Pittsburgh, not a problem. I can simply contact my colleague, Care Patrol colleague in Pittsburgh, or in Atlanta, Georgia, where the son is, and say, hey, this is what's going on. I'll send you the care discovery. We have a 5-page care discovery that is a complete dossier of what's going on with that individual medically and socially. I can send it to them, and they will take the reins from there and help the daughter or the son locate appropriate assisted living in that area. So that's one of the benefits of having Care Patrol on your side as well.
Let's just say that, let's say you're working with an extended family and they're, say in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the surviving spouse is here, and you've worked with them and the person is still living in their own home, but you've managed to bring in an organization, say like Seniors Helping Seniors or something like that, that does just basic tidying up of the house and cooking meals and helping them get dressed and stuff like that. And they can exist that way, but then they reach a point where they need a little bit more than that. But do you work with the family with the mother or the daughter or son in Pittsburgh, and you keep them apprised of what's happening with their parent here?
Oh, goodness, yes.
So then you could say, okay, it's time for them. Your dad can no longer safely stay in his home. He needs to be in an assisted living facility. So then you can make a recommendation. But you could do all the legwork, and when they come down here, you could show them 2 or 3 places and eliminate all the wasted time. Because I've had, over the years, Rob, I've had so many people come in and say, Joe, well, how do I go about doing this? And I said, you're way behind the power curve, but we can help you because we know which of the facilities can help your mother.
Yeah.
So in essence, Rob, your Care Patrol acts as, but is not, a care manager or case manager, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, there are organizations, however, in the community that, on a fee basis, they will act as an individual's case manager. That's not us. What we are doing is we're trying to, as we said earlier, guide the family in the right direction for their loved one. If in-home care, private duty in-home care is the solution at this point in time, then that's fine. We get that arranged. Oftentimes, we will get a call from a social worker in the community who has been visiting. What happens is that vis-a-vis their insurance, they get the benefit of having social workers come into the home to do well checks. They have the ability to get physical therapy, occupational therapy at home, out on an outpatient basis as opposed to inpatient at a rehab facility. So oftentimes we'll get calls from social workers who are out and about in the community. They'll say, hey, Rob, Lena, whomever on our team, Mrs. So-and-so, she's not doing so well. I've talked to her, I've talked to the family about the next step. And that next step could be assisted living. Can you give them a call? So it gets handed over to us. We'll take it from there. We keep the social worker fully apprised all along the way. We get the family together with the loved one, and then we go through assisted living 101 or memory care 101, whatever is needed for that particular individual.
You're doing exactly what some of the first long-term healthcare policies came out, and they defined they would help a person in their home for a while, then they might help a person with respite care or in daycare, and then they put a person for a certain period of time in assisted living, and it came time for nursing home care.
Right.
Care Patrol is doing that. Care Patrol takes a person at this point and does everything they need to go to get to whatever it takes to get to the ultimate care that they need. That's what Care Patrol is.
That's right.
You charge nothing for your services. You get paid by the organizations where you end up placing people, which makes more sense. What else? What I had a whole list of things. Does insurance cover? Well,
yeah. So
we haven't had much time, but
that's a common misperception that families are under the impression that their primary insurance provider, be it Medicare or a managed Medicare program, and or their supplemental insurance, if one exists, covers the cost of assisted living. It's not so. The only type of insurance that will cover assisted living is something called a long-term care insurance policy.
right.
And only 5% of Americans have one. Now, for anybody who's listening, I'm begging you, go investigate a long-term care insurance policy, because I'll give you an example. I just helped a 94-year-old lady. We placed her over at Zon Beachside, and she had purchased a long-term care insurance policy when she was 71. I would have thought, my goodness gracious, that premium, that monthly premium must have been off the chart. So I looked, she had me look at her policy. I said, Sandy, you're only paying $110 a month for this? She said, well, yes. $110 a month. Now, granted, she's been paying that for the last 22 years, but when she needed assisted living, her policy covered $7,200 a month.
Fantastic. That's a good example, and that's a good way we'll have to close the show out. Rob, I want to thank you, and I hope our viewers have learned something from our discussion today. Thank you very much. I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniors.brevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.